Hi, I'm Josie Komorowski. I'm the Early Learning Coordinator at the North Central ESD in Wenatchee. Thanks to funding from the Washington State Arts Commission, ArtsWA, we have been able to engage in an arts integration project this school year, and we are engaged in another project for the coming year. This year, we were able to interview 9 artists from around North Central Washington about their paths to becoming artists, how art can be meaningfully integrated into all school subjects, and here's some additional advice from them for students and educators. We wanted to also provide some information about what arts integration is. And that's what you'll find in this short video and in the accompanying resources. We're going to start with a definition from the Kennedy Center. And this definition begins with the assertion that arts integration is larger than an activity. Rather, arts integration is an approach to teaching that is embedded in one's daily practice. An approach to teaching refers to how something is taught rather than what is taught. Every teacher has an approach to teaching, whether or not they're aware of it. Approaches follow along a continuum from traditional teacher-centered instruction to more progressive student-centered instruction. An arts integration approach to teaching is grounded in the belief that learning is actively built, experiential, evolving, collaborative, problem-solving, and reflective. These beliefs are aligned with current research about the nature of learning and with a constructivist learning theory. Constructing understanding of one's world is an active, mind-engaging process. Arts integration provides multiple ways for students to make sense of what they learn, construct their understanding, and make their learning visible, demonstrate their understanding. It goes beyond the initial step of helping students learn and recall information to challenging students to take the information and facts they've learned and do something with them to build a deeper understanding. Students can construct and demonstrate their understanding in many ways. Traditionally, they're asked to communicate their learning through a report or on a test. However, when students are involved in arts integration, their learning is evident in the products that they create, such as dance, painting, or dramatization. We're going to dig into this definition, that arts integration is an approach to teaching in which students construct and demonstrate understanding through an art form. Students engage in a creative process which connects an art form with another subject area and meets evolving objectives in both. We're going to take those highlighted colorful words and phrases and unpack them a little bit. So let's start at the beginning, that students engage in a creative process. The heart of arts integration is engagement in the creative process. Arts integration requires that students do more than repeat a song, copy an art project, or follow directions. They must create something that is original and of value. The creative process in the arts is a process, not a single event. It includes many interacting phases, and each phase is related to every other phase. There are many descriptions of the creative process. The one provided here is a synthesis of ideas from many different sources. In this diagram, the process is made visible as 5 open circles. Students imagine, examine, and perceive. They explore, experiment, and develop their craft. They create. They reflect, assess, and revise. And then they share their products with others. The arrows indicate the ways one can enter the process in a myriad of different ways and the myriad of different ways that the phases interact. When students engage in the creative process, they produce original work that communicates their ideas, their insights, their points of view, and their feelings. The creative process can be messy. It's difficult to predict what will happen, what will be discovered, or what might emerge during the process. Learners are engaging in inquiry and experimentation as opposed to rigid step-by-step rules. Some ideas, once explored, don't work well, while others that were not originally considered may surface as the perfect solution. If educators are overly concerned with a neat process and product, They tend to make the creative choices for students and be directive of the outcome. In these cases, the creative process is present, but only for the educator. It's the educator's responsibility to set a creative problem or challenge for students to solve, but not to take over and solve the challenge for the students. The next part of the definition is that students will engage in a creative process through an art form. So it's important to understand that there are many different forms of art. An art form is any branch of creative work in the arts, visual arts, dance, drama, and music, and the products of creative work. This is an infographic that shows a number of different art forms, but again, this isn't an exhaustive list. It's important to make sure that when you're including art forms in your instruction, that you're providing a varied opportunities to engage with things all over the map, this constellation of art forms. We also want in arts integration for art forms to connect to other subject areas. And this is a distinguishing aspect of arts integration. The connections are made between specific art forms and specific curriculum areas. For example, a collage can be connected to the study of geographical regions, or choreography can be connected to the study of life cycles. Connections can also be made between a specific art form and a school's concern or need. Schools often identify a focus for improvement that's sometimes outside of the formal curriculum. For example, arts can be connected to school concerns such as character education or anti-bullying campaigns, collaboration, habits of mind, or universal design for learning. Both connections, the curriculum and the needs and concerns based, are strongest when they're mutually reinforcing. In other words, by engaging in learning one subject, learning in the other subject is reinforced and extended, and vice versa. Rather than imagining the connections as two intersecting lines, mutually reinforcing connections function as a cycle. And this final part of the definition underscores two ideas: that we're working towards meeting evolving objectives in both the arts and the other subject area. First, arts integration requires that educators set objectives in both the art form and the other subject area. The dual objectives are balanced. Students are accountable for significant learning in both the art form and the other subject area. Secondly, just as objectives evolve and challenge students to deepen their understandings in science, math, or language arts, objectives in the art form must also evolve if students are to remain challenged. A student does not learn to express ideas through dance in one session. As students master each objective, they're ready to take on the next more challenging ones. Educators should monitor student progress and adjust objectives to keep students challenged and interested within a unit or across the school year. As students' mastery grows, so do their feelings of self-efficacy, the belief in themselves and their ability to achieve. Now let's talk a little bit about the different ways that arts can show up in schools. According to the Kennedy Center, there are 3 different ways that the arts generally show up in schools, and there is some overlap, as you can see in this Venn diagram. According to the Kennedy Center, arts as curriculum are the arts programs that many schools offer: music, drama, dance, and theater, and these are offered for students to develop their skills and knowledge in a particular art form, and they're guided by national, state, or local standards for each of those art forms. Arts enhanced curriculum is when the arts are used as a device or strategy to support other curriculum areas, but there are not objectives in the art form explicitly being taught. For example, using music to teach letter names and sequence in the alphabet is an art enhancement. Music is used as a means to other ends, but students are not usually expected to learn about melody or musical concepts or singing skills when you're singing the ABCs. Arts enhanced curriculum acts as a hook to engage students in learning other content, and educators don't need training or much training in the art form. The last way that arts show up in schools is through arts integrated curriculum. And here is where the arts become the approach to teaching and the vehicle for learning. Students are engaged in those dual learning objectives as they engage in the creative process to explore connections between art forms and other subject areas to gain greater cross-cutting understandings. The experience is, again, mutually reinforcing their learning. It's that cyclical graphic that we saw earlier. Their learning in the arts propels their learning in the content area, and their learning in the content area propels their learning in the arts. And it results in deeper meaning making in both the arts and other curricular areas. Arts integration requires that educators engage in professional learning about arts standards and how to authentically connect the arts to the curriculum that they teach. Educators, schools, students, and communities benefit from knowing the different ways that arts can show up in schools. When we don't make the distinctions, opportunities can be missed, programs can lack clarity, and the arts can seem too unwieldy to incorporate into everyday practice. By making the distinction among the different approaches to the arts in schools, educators can focus their instruction, get clear about outcomes for students, and select the most appropriate approaches based on their goals. Ultimately, school communities are best served when all variations of the arts in their education are present. There are two big reasons why arts integration is effective and beneficial. Arts integration practices are aligned with how students learn, and arts integration energizes educators by providing increased professional satisfaction. Research about how humans learn supports arts integration, which provides learning experiences that are active and experiential, accessible, authentic, reflective, social, collaborative, dynamic, evolving, and focused on problem solving. Because arts integration aligns with how humans learn best, students find it meaningful, relevant, and engaging. Not only is arts integration engaging and motivating for students, educators often regain a sense of efficacy when they see the positive impact of arts integration on their students' learning. Arts integration offers a powerful way for educators to return to the joy of teaching that aligns with current best practices and brain research. For example, arts integration is powerfully aligned with the principles of Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, and provides a range of options for accessing, using, and engaging with learning materials to accommodate the broad spectrum of learner variability in every classroom. The options provided through Universal Design for Learning reduce barriers in the learning environment for all students while keeping expectations high. Arts integration is an inclusionary approach to teaching that supports all students, including students with disabilities, English language learners, students experiencing trauma and/or conflict, and students identified as gifted and talented. This approach is an educationally powerful way to provide whole, healthy, and connected ways to learn that support the tenets of whole child initiatives: physical and emotional safety, active engagement, personalized and challenging learning. According to the Kennedy Center, arts integration as an approach to teaching and learning supports many tenets for the development of the whole child by providing emotional safety, promoting full engagement in learning that is personally meaningful and challenging. The arts offer a wholeness to learning that integrates thought, feeling, and action, weaving together the threads that connect mind, body, and spirit. And as educators are implementing arts integration, they are also able to implement artful thinking, which helps them use the arts in ways that strengthen student thinking and learning in the arts and beyond. The goals are to help educators create connections between the arts and other curriculum areas, and to help educators use the arts as a force for developing students' thinking dispositions. Using the artist palette as a central metaphor, the artful thinking palette is comprised of 6 thinking dispositions, which strengthen students' learning behaviors. These dispositions are developed through thinking routines, which are easy to learn and can deepen students' thinking in the classroom. Reasoning, questioning and investigating, observing and describing, comparing and connecting, finding complexity, and exploring viewpoints. Through the arts, educators are able to practice and provide opportunities to expand on these dispositions in ways that carry through into all of their classroom interactions.